Hi, Amruta. Thanks for accepting my invite and coming to the show. You work at the intersection of graphic arts and photography, and you have done your master's in digital photography and imaging. And from there, you went on to do your advanced photography in Pittsburgh, USA. You have worked with clients ranging from MNC companies like Tata to small boutique firms based in Mumbai. I just want to hear from you, who is Amruta Karnik?
Okay, first of all, thank you, Abdullah, for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here with you, discussing like various topics with you. I'm sure it's going to be fun today. So, I have always been inclined towards art since my childhood, and I always wanted to be an artist or something I wanted to do related to art. So that's how my parents they thought I'll never be happy being in the mainstream, like being an engineer or a doctor or any IT professional. So they knew my love for art since childhood. So that's when they put me in an art school immediately after my 10th standard. And I did commercial arts. I studied commercial arts for 3 years and majors in photography. Again, 2 years schooling in photography, like that was a digital master craftsman that I did. Uh, in the final year of our course, we had to choose a specialization. So that's when I started following this photographer in the US, and I really admired his work, and that was the moment when I thought, like, I want to be this, like, this is what I really want to do all my life. And that's when I started doing food photography. I started experimenting, and I always liked cooking. I always used to be in the kitchen with my mom around, and I used to experiment a lot with the plating of the food more than the taste. I always used to be more how the food is presented to anyone. If there's a guest coming, the guest should always feel wow when they first look at the product and then they start eating it. So that's when I realized that this is what I want to do. So that's how I got into food photography. And a few years later, the same photographer that I followed back in college, I thought, let's just drop him an email and just check with him if he is ready to teach me. And within, I think, 2 hours, he responded. I was so lucky. I really consider myself lucky for this. Like, people don't really respond to emails as quick. And somebody based out of US, and I am here in India, and he just replied in 2 hours, and he was like, yeah, come over and I'll teach you whatever you need to learn. So then I went to the US and got like I was training there under him for a while, and I came back and I really, like, people, everybody around me could see the difference in my work. And then I started working with like major brands after that.
I have this personal question for you. No, you work at
Yeah.
the intersection of advertising and marketing. So I work mostly into advertising, and I had this interview with Varun Girala. He's a mutual follower for both of us. And one of the question I would like to ask you, there's a lot of different things which are happening in the brand marketing perspective. Influencers coming into place. Before, brand marketing was more about what we used to see in the television, and what we see now is a lot of difference because of the social media. So you are an influencer yourself. You have you do a lot of promotion for skincare and food related products and stuff. So you as an influencer, so how do you see the creators economy, and where do you see the brand marketing going towards? So is it more of influencer based, or is still we have the whole like technique still around?
Okay, so if you ask me from an influencer perspective or a creator perspective, I think earlier we only had like models and actors who used to talk about what was scripted. Today, most of the content we see is not scripted. Like if somebody sends me a brand, and if I cannot relate to it, I really I don't promote it, because if it is not relatable or it's against my morals or something, I definitely don't want to promote, because I'm getting something out of it or getting paid for it. So that's the first thing I had decided when I started promoting any brand. Secondly, every individual can choose who they want to follow and who they want to listen to on Instagram or any YouTube, because you have like everybody has different opinions about every product. So if I can relate to something, then I'm going to follow only that particular influencer. It's not just that I see one TVC and I have to blindly just follow or just agree to it. So I think this is a very good space that which has come up. Like Instagram is doing really influencer, the creator economy is like really good. The trends that are people are following, it should just go down, I feel, because you keep seeing the same things. Like if I go to an Instagram, particular Instagram audio, you just can see the same thing over and over again. So I think every creator should have their own original content rather than just following trends. I think that's when you will start, you'll gain more followers. Like even I sometimes given to the trends, like yeah, let's try this, but then I realize, no, my content is no different from the other one, then why am I doing it? So every artist has to be different and unique with their content. So to be honest, I've unfollowed a lot of influencers because they're just following the trends and it's not helping me in any way. There's no takeaway from them.
That's a good insight. Talking about trends. To follow with that, I have this question. No. I'm asking from the marketing perspective. So, see, you're someone who comes from a fine arts background, and you're working at marketing space, doing a lot of product shooting and promotions and stuff. So, you as a someone who works in that space, like when some clients approaches you with a product saying that, I want this product to go out in the market. So there are trends in the social media, and there are influencers in the social media. So when clients come up to you, so what's your approach? Like, what's your approach towards the work? So how do you approach towards it? You're like, yeah, there's this trend growing around food, so let's do a video on this, or let's do a lot of content around this idea. Or else you like, no, we have to come up with something original. So how do you basically approach it?
So my approach on this would be, I think we should bring out the USP of the product, even if it is like if it doesn't fit the trend, then it's not giving out the right message. And sending out a unique message is always better. Like if you can go back to this cred ads which had come up, the Rahul Dravid one or the entire series. So that's like it's a unique idea. They were just not following the trends. So something like that should be there. Like every brand should have their unique identity and um, exactly tell the viewer about the exact product. It's not just that everybody is making dance reels, so let us also make a dance reel. Few years down the line, nobody is going to remember that campaign. It's always better to have your own concept and have your own distinct. Even if you look at the Cadbury ad which had come up, they made a remake of the old one. So even if it's a remake, we still remember that ad. Following the trends, nobody is going to, like, you can't stand out. No, the brand is also not going to stand out. So I think it's always better to have a concept specially designed and formulated for the particular brand or the product.
That's insightful, because you are an influencer. Whenever I go to someone who approaches me, like, how differently are you going to market this? So a lot of people like, ये trend हो रहा है, इस पे बना दो, इस पे बना दो. I अब तक उनको answer नहीं कर पाया. But whatever you said, that stick with me. I'm going to take these words and shoot these words at them. So it's quite an insightful thing. So one of other thing, when we were talking yesterday on phone, like you stand out as someone who has stood against all the stereotypes in the society, right? From whether it's racing or whether it's photography, the technical roles, and you're in the Mumbai, the whole thing. So Mumbai is booming with Mumbai contributes 75% to the Indian GDP. So I want to understand, as a Mumbaiker, like, what's your take on advertising and how it influences the whole space across the India?
I think fortunately I'm in Mumbai because I always wanted to be in advertising, and there's I think most of the work, like 90% of the advertising work, happens here. So I'm fortunate that I'm here, and I am also an educator. I teach at an institute in Dehradun, and there people come from most of the students are from north. So they always ask me this question that if we want to excel in advertising or we want to get going as an advertising photographer, which city would you suggest? So I always tell them, see, it's Mumbai always, because most of the agencies are here. You can try Delhi, you can try Bangalore, but I think most of the work is going to happen here. But again, at the same time, the market is so saturated here. There's so much of competition over here. You can try exploring other cities now. Like you can try Ahmedabad, because Ahmedabad definitely has a lot of I think food industry is quite a lot there. There are small to big restaurants which are coming up there. I recently visited Ahmedabad and I realized that the trends are getting there also. So you can try these tier 2 tier 3 cities also. You need not always relocate to Mumbai only. Like everybody and anybody and everybody, every year the students tell me same thing, ma'am, we want to relocate to Mumbai. I said, no, don't come there. Like it's already crowded. A second, why do you want to get into the competition? If you can build your own market in wherever you are, why don't you do that? Like if somebody is from a smaller town like Dehradun also, Dehradun doesn't have too many clients, I agree, but then there you have space, you can build your own studio, you can call your clients over there. I mean, if instead of you flying there, you can call your clients also there. The biggest advantage of doing this out of Mumbai is the space, because Mumbai is like even 100 square feet is gonna cost you a bomb. So instead of doing that, you can build your own studio. You can for a photographer, it is very important to have their own studio so that they can practice daily. There are pros and cons of this. Like living in Mumbai gets me a lot of advertising work, but at the same time, I have to deal with competition a lot. Like I get a call right now for a campaign. I do everything. Yeah, so you should be either ready to deal with this kind of competition to come to Mumbai and deal with it, or you can just set up your own niche and uh, like start up your own business in wherever you are.
That's an interesting perspective. And to follow up with that, like I have this thing which I want to ask. Like when I said, I'm going to interview. When I shared your profile with my friend, I'm saying like I'm going to interview her. So one of her questions my friend has asked, like she has achieved a lot in personal passion, like right from racing, photography, advertising, and marketing. So one of the questions I want to ask you is like, what is an one word advice you want to give for someone who want to follow their passion?
To follow your passion, I think you just have to stop thinking about the world, whatever they are gonna say or whatever they're gonna think about what she is doing. Like I do solo travel. I started with solo traveling about 4 5 years back, and people were like, "You're a woman. You are. Why do you want to do this? When you have friends, you have like I have a huge circle of friends. Why don't you travel with them?" But when you travel with more people, there are times when you cannot do the things that you really want to do. So this applies to anything and everything. Like whatever your passion is, do it. Like think that you are the only person in the world and you want to do this, because if you keep waiting for everything to happen and fall in place, it's never gonna happen. So stop procrastinating and just do it. Like if I am very impulsive, if you ask me, as like with anything and everything, as much as I think and do things, I'm also impulsive. Today if I feel that I want to go to a particular country, I'll just get going. So it happened this year also. I wanted to do this particular country since I think 2 3 years, but because of the pandemic again it didn't happen. But I was like, no, I want to do this. But then one night I was like, let's book the tickets and go. So it should apply to everything. If you say you want to do this, if you say you want to participate in rallies, just look up the website where it is happening, when it is happening, log on, book, you're done. So everything, like all your passion, everything has to be treated in the same way. Just do it.
That's a good insight. Like, just do it. Because I've been procrastinating on a lot of things. Starting my own agency. I work from a client office. I want to start my boutique firm, but then I've been holding on this idea since 3 years. I think I should consider now, because I went through I have interacted with you a couple of times. If I don't know if you remember or not, because you have a large following on Instagram. So whenever you put Q&A, like I just drop in a question. So one of the question I asked is like related to travel. You travel a lot, and I was like, can you just give me a trip? So you skim my profile and you're like, paisa mat kharch karo on going to posh restaurants and stuff. Instead, you have sort your things and travel a lot in this thing. So when you're packing for traveling, what is that you look for? You look for do you do couch surfing, or is that you have a lot of contacts in the advertising industry, so you hit up your contact who have been there or who live there? Like, how do you plan your trips?
So abroad, mostly I look up for 1 BHKs where I can cook my own food, because I love food and I love cooking also. And so I'll tell you about the last trip I went to. I went to Croatia and I went to Turkey and Hungary. So there, lot of people want to travel, okay, well, but the only thing that holds them back is we cannot spend so much. So the best thing to do is get a 1 BHK or a Airbnb, whatever, like a small space studio apartment, anything like that. You can save up a lot when you cook for yourself. You can just go out for one meal or two meals per city or per place wherever you are. But most of the time, what I do is I cook my own food. If I'm going out, I carry my lunch boxes or something, so that I don't have to like spend thousands on the food there, because places like Europe, food is like shit expensive. So it's better that you carry your own food, and that you can always save up to like 40-50,000 easily just on the food. So then that makes it very easy for you to travel. And for me, being a regular traveler, or I travel often, even if I'm not doing any international trips, if I'm doing any trips in the country, I make sure that I'm not spending too much on unnecessary things. And for me, unnecessary things are like spending on a daily basis on a holiday on alcohol. I'm not pro alcohol at all. So that's one thing. So it's better that you spend on experiences. If you're going to, example, if you're going to Andaman and there's scuba diving there, try scuba diving. Don't sit and drink inside the hotel room. You're not gonna remember that you had this alcohol in this particular room. You can
Rest of
always
the years.
remember that, oh, I did scuba diving there, I went skydiving there. That's always a better thing to do. You're gonna remember this till you grow old. Yeah,
Experience is more
unnecessary.
expensive.
Exactly. Yeah. And unnecessary expenses you can always cut down. Just plan the entire thing smartly, and everybody can do international travel. And a lot of people always ask me that, do you earn so much that you manage to
Travel
travel so
abroad.
like abroad? I said no, I just smartly plan it and plan it in advance. If I want to do a particular trip at the end of the year, I start planning 6 months ahead. And also I start saving up for that particular trip. And as I said, just do it, like book your air tickets, and then you have to save up for that, have those kind of expenses. So that's the first thing you got to do, that uh, flight ticket is done, then you start your accommodation, and then you know that you have this particular like a lakh expense or 50,000 expense. You will definitely end up saving that money for the trip.
Yes. I mean, yeah, I haven't done much of it's very costly for the tickets itself. It goes around 60 to something. So I've never done abroad, but I see a lot of your feed. It's, you've been to a lot of places, Amsterdam and stuff. So one of the thing on a professional note, I want to ask you is like, you've worked with most of the major brands like Tata, Parle-G, Mado Donuts and stuff. So when and you saying that you work as a freelancer, you work as a freelancer as of now, or you're working with a team? Because most of your shoots which I see is like with a team.
So I am a freelancer and I have a fixed set of people that I work with most of the times. Like I do wedding photography and I do advertising photography. So for
Yes.
weddings, I have my own team, and for advertising, definitely I need to work with like
Bunch of
different crews.
team members. So on that note, what I want to ask you is like, has someone who has worked with big brands on a single-handedly as a freelancer. So if someone, let's suppose me, I'm aspiring to work with Nike or a Capital One. So what is that advice you give to people who want to work with MNC companies? Like should really put in, because your work is very authentic. Your photography or the kind of content you put in on social handles, whether it be LinkedIn or whether it be your Instagram, is very original. So what's your, if I'm aspiring to be an influencer, what is that your advice you want to give to me?
Again, authenticity is very important and originality is very important, because if you can't be original with your content, again, nobody's going to give you work. Copying again, again, copying the trends, what are happening, that's not going to help, because again, your work looks similar to the other people. So it's always good to have your own style, develop your own style. And it happens like if you are original with any of your content, uh, people, like, your work is going to stand out. So that's how people will approach you for your originality.
So when you started on Instagram, like when did you take it seriously? Was it during pandemic or was it pre-pandemic? Like, what was your approach? Since you live in one of the cosmopolitan cities of India, so when you realize, Instagram, I should be more vocal on social media handles. Since I'm a freelancer and I've been working across with a lot of brands, so when did this calling for going all out on Instagram you realized?
It's been 3 years now, but then I started promoting brands, and all of it, I think this was in pandemic, like mid 2020, because as a photographer I was doing nothing at that time. Everybody was sitting at home, the studios were not functional. So that's when I started approaching brands, and they started sending me the products home, and I started creating content at home. And then I, being a photographer, I knew how to shoot the product properly. So that helped the brands. Like they knew that I will do both really well. So that's when I started creating content for mostly the skincare and I think food brands. Food also, like I started creating recipe videos for a few brands. So that was helping the brands, and that's why they keep coming back to me.
Yeah, that is insight, because I spoke with Varun Dugirala, and when we were talking about the correct campaigns and how the whole sphere of brand marketing is changing. This was the exact words which you have told me. So thanks, Amruta. Thanks for joining. It was quite an insightful session. We had. I'm really looking forward to meet you in person whenever I come to Mumbai. I make sure that I'll meet you there, and we'll have a more of a in person interview going on.
Definitely. It was a pleasure talking to you, and thank you for having me here.
I mean, I was, since long time I've been thinking of you hosting on a podcast. But then I was like, yeah, मेरे पास इतना proof of concept नहीं है to call on an influencer. So let's just, build a profile, and then I'll be like, hey, Amruta, can we do a podcast? So I'm very, you inspired me to take up this podcasting, and thanks a lot for the inspiration you have been doing through your social media.
Definitely. Thank you so much. It was
Thanks.
lovely.